I want to welcome everybody to Walking in Balance, celebrating servant leaders as they continue to build strong Cherokee communities. I want to thank everybody for taking the time today to view this presentation. I know you could be anywhere today and you're here with us, so I just really appreciate it. I want to say CO first off. My name is Abraham Bearpaw, and I'm going to be doing this presentation. So a little bit about myself. Like I said, my name is Abraham Bearpaw. I am an author, a motivational speaker, cultural preservation activist, and most recently I held the position of Family Perseverance Manager for Torres Martinez Tribal TANF in Southern California. My passion is teaching Cherokee culture to families because I believe that everything we need, we can find in our cultural teachings. And by following our original ways, we can walk in balance. So one thing I wanted to let everybody know is if you have any questions along the way, you can submit those via the chat button at any time, and I will make sure to save time at the end so we can do questions. So, many of you may know that I am a recovering alcoholic. I have been sober now for over 8 years. I am very proud of that. And I credit my rededication to our Cherokee culture with being instrumental in being able to turn my life around. I went through a very dark time in my life, and it was our culture, our songs, our ceremonies, and that love for, that I felt from the Creator and our people that gave me the strength to turn everything around, I believe. And so whenever I go out and I do these motivational speaking, maybe for families or, for youth, that's the one of the biggest messages that I pass along is that it's never too late to change your life, and that everything we need as Cherokee people, we can find in our culture. And I think that's really awesome. And I'm really humbled by that because of all the sacrifices that our ancestors have made to make sure that we have all of these cultural teachings. And so just really excited about it, and, really excited to share the message. For myself, I've struggled with anxiety pretty much my whole life. And so, I always look towards Western medicine or Western ideas on how to deal with that. And it wasn't towards, whenever I came later in life, because I grew up in the Stomp ground, I grew up culturally, and I was finally able to apply those cultural teachings and into an everyday living. And so that they just helped me, walk in a good way and walk in balance. So I want to say congratulations to all of our servant leaders. Wado for all you do for our communities. Cherokee community organizations provide a strong foundation for our people. What you all do is a big deal and is very much appreciated. I think it's a really big deal. Our government has, been strong at times, and, it's been taken over by the U.S. government at times. We didn't have a lot of say in our political process. It was our local Cherokee community organizations, in our communities, in our families, that held our tribe together during all of these times. And you guys continue to do it. All of our satellite communities, as well as all of our communities here in Oklahoma. You guys are out there showing, it really is our people helping our people. Cherokee community organizations provide access to culture and essential services, provide a sense of community for our tribal members, which I think is extremely important during these tumultuous times. Unity among our people. We must not be like crabs in the bucket. And what I mean by that, I went to a training several years ago on the Rincon Reservation in Southern California. And the trainer there, he was a Caucasian guy. He wasn't a native guy. He said that natives are like crabs in the bucket. Because if you have crabs in the bucket, you don't have to put a lid on it. Because anytime a crab tries to get out, another crab will always grab it and pull it back down. And he said, that's how natives are. And at the time when I heard that, it upset me a lot. I was pretty angry about it because that's not how I view our people. But I had to do a lot of self-reflection, and say, well, am I like that? All I can look at is myself. And I was being like that. At times I was jealous. At times I would gossip. If somebody was doing something, I'd be like, oh, they should do it this way or that way or things like that. I wasn't being supportive like I should have been. And so now I really make sure if I see somebody doing something in Bunch or Stillwell or Pryor or any of our communities around here, I make sure that I'm supportive. And if I think, I could help, then I go out and help. But what I don't do is say negative comments or give it negative energy or do any of those things anymore. Because I really believe that, if you're doing something good in the community, I don't care if, we're not, we have nothing in common. If you're doing something positive for the community, I believe it's my responsibility, Gadugi way, to get out there and to help you. And so that's one of the things I'm just really impressed by all of our servant leaders, all of you guys out there. You're just really making things happen. And, you don't get a lot of credit for it. You don't have, often the big title and these things, but you're doing it. You're out there doing it for the love of your people. And I just want you to know that it is noticed and it's really appreciated. So servant leadership and Cherokee culture. I know you guys have heard about servant leadership all day today, but we're going to explore two questions. What are the Cherokee cultural teachings that can help us to be more effective servant leaders? And how can Cherokee culture help our servant leaders to walk in balance? As you all know, servant leadership is the leadership philosophy in which the main goal of the leader is to serve. A servant leader shares power, puts the needs of the employees or team members first, and helps people develop and perform as highly as possible. So Cherokee culture and servant leadership really fit together. We expect our leaders to be out there among the people helping. And I'm really impressed with our leadership. I feel like, our leaders are out there among the people, helping, especially during these times. And it's really awesome to see. Not just our leaders, though, not just our leaders with the title, but I'm talking about leaders in our families as well. Our grandmas and grandpas, aunts and uncles, moms and dads, and older siblings also, are showing tremendous leadership. And so I think that's important to remember, that you don't have to have a title to be a leader, especially in our culture, because there's always somebody looking up to you. And so these are the questions that we're going to take a look at over the next 30 minutes. So some of the barriers to success I think that we need to watch out for are negativity, jealousy, fear of change, distrust, and anxiety. I have seen, these are some of the biggest that I've seen in organizations that I've worked for and programs that I've been a part of. And so, some of these are caused by our leadership, and some of those pitfalls are excessive criticism, leaving team members out, being too demanding, railroad or bullying, and gossiping. And, like I said, I have done some of these. And, I know that you guys are all out there doing a tremendous job. But these are the things that I believe, by walking in balance with our Cherokee culture, we naturally steer away from these negative things because we are trying to walk in balance and be the best people that we can be. So that's why I think it's just really awesome. By following our culture, we are naturally pulled away from these pitfalls. So I'm sure many of you are aware of the 10 key servant leader traits according to the Robert K. Greenleaf Center for Servant Leadership. Listening, empathy, healing, awareness, persuasion, conceptualization, foresight, stewardship, commitment to the growth of people, and building community. So like I said, Cherokee culture, I believe, promotes all of these traits in our people. And that's why I think the servant leadership in our communities is so strong. It just comes natural to us. And so, I just think it's really awesome that that all of these things I feel like are covered in our different aspects of our culture. And we're going to go over some of those aspects of our culture so that I can show you, exactly where these things are coming from. We don't have titles for them exactly, necessarily in Cherokee. But when we were out there and teaching others and doing these things, it's building up these skills within ourselves and within our children. So servant leadership and Cherokee culture. Some of the titles that we have are our chief and councils, our stomp ground leaders. Now we have our language preservation specialists, community leaders, and definitely don't want to leave out our family leaders. Why is it important to walk in balance? Servant leaders must have legitimacy. People need to believe in you and what you are trying to accomplish. So what I mean by that is, and I'm just talking from my own experience, I cannot, let's say, have do a presentation for the youth on Tuesday where I want to talk about staying drug and alcohol free. If I'm on social media Saturday night talking about getting drunk, and everybody's seeing that. Whenever I do my presentation, people aren't going to buy into it. People aren't going to believe it because they're going to say, hey, I just saw you on social media, talking about all of these things. So it's important to have legitimacy, especially for servant leaders, because we don't always have, necessarily a big title behind us. People follow servant leaders because they believe in what they're doing. If you go back to, things like people participated in the Bellwater Project, all of these amazing things that have been done throughout the Cherokee Nation, they bought into, what the leaders were saying there because they believed in them. They believed that they had their best interest at heart. And so, we have to make sure that we are definitely projecting that, at all times, and being good role models for our community, which all of you do. And I'm extremely impressed with. So talking about walking in balance, what does that mean? Walking in balance means that we find a harmony between our mind, body, and spirit so that we can live well. For me, walking in balance has been an extremely part of my recovery from alcoholism. Um, you know, a lot of people, there are different terms for it. They call it walking the red road, or some of these other things. And it just really means to live as the Creator intended for us. And each person is different. So for myself, I believe what the Creator intended for me, how to live, is to be supportive of others and to be helpful. I really feel like that's what I was put on this earth to do. For a lot of years, I questioned why was I an alcoholic? Uh, why can't I drink like other people? How come some people can have one beer and it's okay, and when I do it, it causes all these problems? I was finally able to to stop questioning that whenever, I knew one of the purposes that I feel like the Creator has me here is to help other alcoholics. And so, for me to go through that, now I can help so many other people. So I'm very grateful for that. So walking in balance, like you can see here on the screen, it involves several aspects of wellness, gratitude, respect for self, others and the environment, integrity, and service to others. So if we are doing all these things, I believe it starts with gratitude, starts with a grateful heart, being happy for what we have, no matter how much that is, because we find, if we are grateful, whether we have a lot or we have a little, it just seems like a vast amount, because we're happy for that. And it really helps our spirit, I believe. So all of these aspects of wellness, respect, integrity, and then service to others, I feel like it helps us to be balanced, to be well-rounded. If we are doing, I do all of these things. I make sure I have a program, the Walking in Balance program, actually, that I'm working on the curriculum. I make sure to keep an eye on these things at all times because I feel like I have to stay balanced for my recovery program. I definitely do not ever want to slip back into alcoholism. I don't want to slip back into the negative behaviors that I had, gossiping and doing all of these negative things. And so I make sure that I watch these things. I keep an eye on them at all times. I make sure I'm physically well, mentally well, socially well. I have good relationships where people respect me, where I'm being treated well. Spiritual wellness, however that looks for you, whether you go to the stomp ground or, whatever. And then, respect for self, others, and the environment, integrity. I always make sure, I don't do anything I have to apologize for. That's the thing that, the kind of the level that I see there. Don't do anything to people that you have to apologize. And if you do, that's okay. We all make mistakes. Make sure you apologize for those things and move on. And that keeps ourselves clear, and doesn't let us get clouded up. And then one of the, principles of Cherokee culture is service to others. Once we do have all these things, once we are feeling really well and we are learning more and we are doing better, I believe it's our responsibility to then turn around and help the next generation, to help our fellow Cherokees. And so that's a little bit about walking in balance. Cherokee culture remains intact. We are definitely very lucky throughout all of the traumatic experiences our tribe has gone through. I believe a vast amount of our culture remained intact throughout all of those years, and I'm very grateful for that. So this is not an all-encompassing list. These are some of the biggest points that I feel like our cultural teachings come from. So we have listed here our Stomp Dance and ceremonies, gathering and making medicine, Stickball and other Cherokee games, learning and speaking Cherokee, art, storytelling, hunting and gathering, and relationships. So, it's okay if you do not take part, in some of these things. It's just really awesome that they are still here, that our ancestors made sure that we had these things available to us. And I'm going to share a little bit about the teachings that I have learned from each of these. So these aspects of Cherokee life provide a program for wellness. If cultural teachings are followed, Cherokees will live a fulfilled life of wellness and be able to walk in balance. By walking in balance, servant leaders will have legitimacy and will be trusted in that stewardship. So that's what I was talking about a little bit ago, is if you're going, whatever your message is, people need to believe in it. You're going to get a lot more done if the people you're asking to come out, believe in your message, believe in you, and believe in what you're doing. So to get that belief in us, we have to walk in balance to the best of our ability. And everybody has bad days. For myself, one of the things I talk about, one of the warning signs for myself, if I'm not, doing my program as well as I should, is I'm grouchy, and everybody gets grouchy. But for me, it's wanting to argue with people on the internet. That's definitely a warning sign that I need to, work on some of these things. Maybe it's my stress, maybe it's the physical part. Maybe I need to pray a little bit more, so, definitely keep an eye on your warning signs will help you stay onto your program. So the first cultural activity that we're going to talk about is Stomp Dance and our other ceremonies. So on the left, you can see here, we have what servant leader traits I believe are supported by this activity. And then on the right, how this activity helps us to walk in balance. So I know there's a lot of words here, but Stomp Dance, it fosters listening, empathy, healing, awareness, persuasion, conceptualization, foresight, stewardship, all of these things here. And then on the right, you can see, I believe the Stomp Ground also teaches us gratitude, helps our spiritual wellness, our emotional wellness, mental, physical, and social wellness, respect, integrity, and service to others. So it just, you can look at this and just think, by one activity, all of these things that are being taught to our youth, it's really awesome. One story that I will share, whenever I was young, I don't remember how old, maybe I was 6 years old. It's one of the first memories I have. We were at the Stomp Ground, and my uncle Jim Mankiller, he pointed to two posts there to the entrance of the Stomp Ground. And he told me, when you pass those posts, you no longer have enemies. All of your anger, jealousy, resentment, all of those things, you leave right there. You don't bring them in here. You have to let all of that go. If you're mad at somebody, you have to let that go and forgive them. And I remember whenever I first was really able to do it, and it worked for me, how free I felt. All of my fear, anger, jealousy, to be without all of those things, I felt so free. I almost felt like I could fly. And so, that's just one example of how the Stomp Dance can help you to walk in balance. One thing I will mention about the Stomp Dance or Stomp Grounds is, if you do not have people that a Stomp Ground of your own, or you want to learn more about it, there are definitely people in our community who you can go and ask. You can ask myself. Culturally involved people on social media are always willing to help. One of the things about the Stomp Grounds is they're very welcoming. I don't care what Stomp Ground it is. Whenever you walk up, you're always offered a cup of coffee, offered something to eat. And so it's just a welcoming place. So don't ever feel like these things don't belong to you. As Cherokee people, these songs, these ceremonies, they belong to all of us. And so, that's just one thing I will mention, that if you do not have access currently, feel free to reach out to somebody, to ask about these things. So the next activity, gathering and making medicine. So gathering and making medicine, it could be very involved or it could be very simple as praying for someone else. When you pray for someone else, you are making medicine. You are creating good thoughts, good energy, and you're sending that good energy out to others. And that's making medicine. So don't ever feel like you do not have power within yourself to do these things, because you do. Whenever I was young, I was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, and I was very sickly. My mother said as a baby. Western medicine wasn't doing a lot to help me at the time. So my mother took me to a man who practiced medicine, and she had to leave me there overnight. When she came to pick me up the next day, he sent some tea home with us. I drank that tea and I was able to get better. So there's just one example, of people that make medicine, because when you look at it, all of our medicines, Advil, Tylenol, aspirin, these all come from plants, and our medicine people are very knowledgeable in how to use these plants. And so, I know whenever I was young, I looked at medicine as something that was foreign to me. I would quicker take a Tylenol than I would drink a tea or do some of these things. And so, it's just really awesome that, there are people within our communities who still know how to make these medicines. And so I'm really thankful for that. But like I said, it can be very involved or it could be very simple. And there are power within each and every one of us to make this medicine. So don't ever feel like it's not something that belongs to you or something that you cannot do. Another thing my mother would do a lot is burn cedar. I remember when I was young, smelling the cedar burning in our house. My mother would be making medicine throughout the house, for good thoughts, good things for our family. And so it just brings back really good memories, smelling that burnt cedar throughout the house still to this day. I love it. Stickball and other Cherokee games. So you can see here, these lists are really large. You wouldn't think about going out and playing stickball or playing marbles or doing some of these things, that it would cover all of these things, but it really does. And one of the reasons is because of the attitude that we are expected to have when we are playing these games, such as stickball. My uncle always made sure to let me know that, playing stickball and eating together was just important as the actual stomp dance at our stomp ground. I have memories of growing up and being at the stomp ground and playing stickball. The biggest thing I can remember is everyone laughing. It was a physical game and people were getting thrown around, but nobody ever got mad. And that's what my uncle said was important, that the Creator was very happy to see us there, being happy with one another and playing ball together. And so, I'm very happy to see that this is occurring regularly, not so much right now because we are being asked to stay away from each other to protect our elders and protect each other. But, a lot of times there is a stickball game going on somewhere. So, you can see here, it teaches all of these things, and not necessarily in a structured way, but all of these things we are able to learn when we go out and play stickball and play these other games. And like I said, it's about the attitude that we are expected to have, one of gratitude, and just being of good mind and good heart when we're out there playing the game. I remember my cousin Felicia, she got hit in the nose one time. Blood went everywhere. And she's really tough, though, my cousin. And she shook it off, and she was out there again playing stickball and laughing about 10 minutes later. And it just goes to show, the perseverance and the fortitude of our people, and if you are of good mind, how strong that makes you. So learning and speaking Cherokee, the revitalization of our language I am extremely grateful for. I am so happy to see all the contributions that our speakers are out there making. Whenever I spoke to the head of the Cherokee language program a while back, he told me, you can't count the number of people who speak Cherokee. You only count the people who are willing to teach others. And I thought that was really awesome when he told me that. And, it's just really cool to see how many of our speakers are out there willing to teach each other, and the investments that our tribe is putting into the language to make sure that each of us have the opportunity to learn. And I feel this is an important part of our culture because when you speak Cherokee, it holds so many cultural teachings within that. And I feel like, studies have been done to show that indigenous children who are able to speak their language, they have a higher self-esteem, and they do better in school. And it just helps them out so much to be able to speak Cherokee. So once again, you can see, all of the servant leader traits supported by speaking Cherokee and by learning Cherokee, and how it helps us walk in balance. And so it's just really awesome to see how much the language is still holding us together as a tribe. Art is another cultural activity that I feel like is very important and holds a lot of cultural teachings within it. All of the designs that are put into our art and all of the stories behind the art is very important. Also, by doing these activities, it really helps us to decrease stress and just helps us to feel like we are a part of each other. I'll take basket making, for example. It's so relaxing. And I believe one of the reasons it's relaxing, just simple, sitting there making a simple basket is because, when we are doing these things, once again, we are asked to think good thoughts. So because you're weaving your thoughts, you're weaving your energy into this basket. So, also things like braiding your hair, cooking your food, all of these things, I remember, people saying you should do them with a good heart because your energy and your love is going into this. So you're just sitting there making a basket. It seems pretty simple, but I'm putting good energy into that. So, maybe I had a bad day at work. Somebody cut me off, in traffic and, really just made me angry. And I'm able to make this basket now and I'm able to change my focus, from whatever bad day that I had, because now I'm supposed to think these good thoughts because I want to put them into this basket or put them into my art. It's really healing and really supports, a lot of our wellness. So I'm very grateful for everybody who, all of our artists out there who continue to, make sure that these things don't, fall by the wayside. And, they are very important. And so I'm just really, really excited to see all of our artists out there. And I'm, by the way, I am not artistic at all. I do stick 'em in. That's about as far as, my drawing, but I gotten into, basket making, beading, and some of these other things, our Cherokee art. And it's just really helped me a lot. And I feel like it's made me feel more connected to my community and to my fellow Cherokee. Storytelling. This is another big one. It's really awesome to see, within our tribe, we have very great, talented storytellers. I'll click on YouTube sometimes because I just moved here from California, moved back, but I'd click on YouTube sometimes, and listen to some of our Cherokee storytellers. And, they're just really, really do a good job, conveying the messages and the values, within Cherokee culture. And, as many of let's say, one of my elders wanted to convey something to me, a lesson or a value, or maybe I was messing up a little bit. Oftentimes they would tell me a story to get that point across. So it's a very important part of our culture. But one thing I do want to point out is you do not have to be a master storyteller to have an impact on somebody's life. For myself, the stories that I remember the most occurred laying in my mom's bed. The power would go out. We lived out in Rocky Mountain, and it seemed like every time it would storm, the power would go out. So we'd all be scared. We were all little kids, and every time my mom would take us into her bed. There were 4 of us at the time. Take us into her bed, and she'd tell us stories. Tell us stories about the thunder and lightning fighting, and fighting over a woman. And so, and also another story about my family of possums. And I just, even to this day, whenever I think back on those stories, I am really comforted. And because each one shared a Cherokee value, shared a lesson, about Cherokee culture. And so I would encourage all of you, each of us, to learn Cherokee stories. Once again, these are our cultural teachings that our ancestors made sure were still here for us. They don't belong to any one person. All of this culture belongs to all of us. And so don't ever feel like you can't go up to somebody and ask them, hey, do you mind teaching me a story to tell my kids or these things, because your children will remember. And it's just really awesome. Now I have children of my own that I can, pass these stories along. Granted, our electricity is a little more stable now. It doesn't always go out, but, it doesn't have to be dark time, to tell a story. So, just remember, moms and dads or siblings, aunts and uncles, you don't have to be a master storyteller to be able to do these things. So hunting and gathering. So hunting and gathering has always, definitely been very important to our survival. But, what is taught to our tribal members through the act of hunting and gathering? So you can see there on the left, healing, awareness, foresight, stewardship. Those are the servant leader traits that are supported by hunting and gathering. And then on the right, gratitude. And that's definitely one of the biggest ones. When we are hunting and gathering, we should do so with a grateful heart. When we are harvesting something that the Creator has put here on the earth for us, we do so with a grateful heart. We do so knowing that an animal gave its life for us. Or, so we have to make sure that we have the proper attitude. And it is that attitude that is helping our wellness when we are going out. That's the whole difference, that each of these cultural activities, that's the difference that it makes, is the attitude that you have when you go into it and we're doing these activities. So, make sure when we're going out, say if you're taking berries or something, take water with you and water that plant. Make sure that we are leaving something for everything that we are harvesting out there. That keeps us connected to our environment, and keeps the circle going. Not just Cherokee people, but all indigenous people, we have been able to live in balance with our environment because we have viewed the environment, animals, and everything as a part of ourselves. That we were no better, and that we are all connected. So so make sure when we are going out to do these things, that we are leaving things behind. I know at the stomp ground, when we take our first bite, we would spit our first bite out. And that's just symbolic. It symbolizes gratitude, and it symbolizes giving back, because then the bugs eat it, the ants eat it, whatever it is. And so, and then the circle continues. So, it's all about the attitude that you have whenever you're doing these things. But that's how our people throughout, history, we have survived, is because each of these activities, we did so with a good heart. And, it would take our focus from negative things to positive things. And, that has been, one of the secrets of our success, definitely our perseverance. Next is our relationships. I believe that Cherokee culture is passed through our relationships, definitely. And our relationships are unique and shaped by our Cherokee culture. One way that I will note is my mom's brothers. They were very instrumental in, me learning about culture, learning about hunting, learning about all of these things that a young Cherokee man should know. It was my mom's brothers who taught me much of that. And so, that's a historical thing. Usually your mom's brothers were responsible for your upbringing. So it's just really cool that we have some of these still cultural relationships that we're able to utilize to pass along our cultural teaching. So you can see there are servant leader traits that are supported by our relationships, and walking in balance also. So, and one other thing that I will mention about our relationships is I really believe that it does take a village to raise a child. Whenever I was young, I could be in another community and an auntie there may get on to me if I'm acting out of sorts. They didn't have to be kin to me. But if people saw you acting out, they would get on to you. And it just really showed the love that we had. I may not even know this person, but it just really showed the love that we have for each other. That somebody would take their time to convey a lesson to a boy they don't even know, to help them out and help them keep going. A lot of times my mom would take me and drop me off at different elders' houses in our community, so that I could learn things from them. And though, that's just another part of, the relationships, how our relationships help our culture continue to thrive. Because like I said, our tribal government hasn't always been able to support our people in the way that we wished it could. It is our families, our stomp grounds, our community, Cherokee community organizations. All of you have been what has held us together throughout all of these times. We are graced right now. I like to say our government is very strong, but it's the people. It's our people that really help our tribe thrive and to persevere. So, in conclusion, I would like to say Cherokee culture teaches us how to be good leaders and good people. If we learn about and participate in our culture, then we will have access to all of the tools needed to walk in balance and be successful leaders. The teachings that have been passed down to us are all that we need. If we follow our teachings and perpetuate our culture, then our success as a people is guaranteed. So, if you want to learn about something, then ask myself or others. Also, if you are asked about something, then take that opportunity to teach, because it is together that we will be able to move forward. So, like I said, walking in balance is a choice that we make every day. To do things for us, to make sure we are consuming good material, to make sure we are exercising. All of these things make us well-rounded and balanced. And like I said, for myself, suffering from anxiety all of my life, I've taken anxiety medicine, I've seen therapists, I got sent to a special school once, all of these things to try and make me feel better. But it has been our Cherokee culture that really helped me to be able to walk in balance. And, I'm just really grateful for that. I'm grateful for all of you. Keep doing what you're doing. I see you all on social media, just doing outstanding things for each other. And that's how, during this really fearful time, that's how I know that we are going to be okay. It's because it is our people helping our people. And I'm really excited for that. So I just want to say Wado for your time. And now we can go to the, if anybody has any questions.
Okay, can you hear me, Abraham?
Yes.
Okay, trying to pull up my video as well. Here we go, maybe. Okay, yeah, we've got some questions and they're pretty heavy duty. I've been reading them. First one, our family has had big challenges. It has been hard to continue to walk my highest path while concurrently watching our daughter go through huge challenges. Any guidance on building the reserves to continue serving others while going through family struggles at the same time?
That's a great question. And I think a lot of our parents, have to do that. How do you remain strong and help somebody else, at the same time? For me, my strength comes from how well I am following my program. So, it may not seem like it, but how well I'm taking care of myself will really impact how well I'm able to take care of others. Before, I would just put all of myself out there all the time. I was a workaholic. I would go out and make sure I was helping my kids, I'm helping others, I'm helping my friends, and I'm just exhausted. But also, I am not giving my family and all of those who depend on me the most that I could, because I'm operating most times at 25% or 50% because I am exhausted. You know what I mean? So, we have to, it starts with ourselves. And was really hard, especially as a parent. You want to do for your kids first. You have to take care of yourself first. So for myself, now I stay off social media as much as I can, make sure I am consuming good material. Definitely 8 hours sleep is very important. I start the day by praying. I'm grateful for everything that I have, and I end the day by praying, showing that gratitude. When I braid my hair, I make sure I'm thinking good thoughts. Before I eat a meal, I make sure I pray and thinking good thoughts. So throughout the day, I have about 7 instances, ways built in to my daily living that just takes my focus from this stress to, oh, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this meal. I'm grateful for, or I'm braiding my hair, so I have to think good thoughts, or, whatever it is. So it's all really a lot about focus too. Make sure we are focusing on the positive and not the negative. And then, it's very, doing the simple things. Like I said, 8 hours sleep, making sure we have a good diet, making sure we are consuming positive material. And so all of these things really come together to form our strength. And then when we are strong, we have a lot more to give. So, to simplify, really simple, you have to take care of yourself first. And it's really hard, and then also, another thing I will mention, don't be afraid to ask for help. That was one of the things that really helped me out in my life, was just asking, or even just talking to somebody. I don't even need your help a lot of times, if just being able to vent to somebody. you know, Nowadays men, we're taught that it's better for me, it's more acceptable for me to punch a hole in this wall than it is to talk to another man and say, you know what, I'm not feeling very well. Can I talk to you for a little while? A lot of people would rather just punch the hole in the wall because it's a lot harder to do that, just because it's not as accepted. But that's not always been the case. Our people have always talked. So, definitely make sure you're reaching out to others, so that you can get those things out of you. So great question. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And no, you're not alone.
Mhm.
Okay. What would be the solution for at-large citizens and communities that do not have stomp grounds, or perhaps live, I'm sorry, I don't can figure out this word, maybe nearby, and cannot come back home and access our stomp grounds back home?
That's a great question. Um, for me, I just got back from California. I was out there for 3 years. So I couldn't come back to participate, in the stomp ground. But what I would do is whenever I knew a ground was dancing, I would take that time and sing songs to myself, and I would pray. So, if you don't know any of the songs, there are people, you can reach out to. You can reach out to myself, just to start learning about it. What does it mean? And so, for me, the stomp ground, it all starts with gratitude. We are out there to show how grateful we are for everything that we have been blessed with, to show the Creator that we care about each other, and then that we are just really, really grateful for everything that we have. So that's one of the biggest things. But there are stomp dance songs that you can find on YouTube and other places. But to learn about what the songs mean and what everything means, you can reach out to myself. On social media, there are a lot of people who are knowledgeable about the stomp ground. And, I know for myself, I am more than happy to spend some time to talk to you, so that you can start learning these things. It would be great, if we did, we're able to have a social dance or something out there But that would be the first step, I believe, is reach out to somebody. Like I said, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. Start learning about the stomp ground, and then let's talk about it. And then once you learn about it, like I said, I would just pray during that time. When I knew somebody back home was dancing, I would just sit for a little bit. I would pray, sing songs to myself, and just really feel happy, overjoyed that these people back home were singing these songs, because they're singing for you also. I know whenever I go out and sing, I sing for our people. And so, for us to get the benefit, we don't have to be there. Like I said, it's just being of good mind, being grateful, and then, but definitely if you want to learn about, Stomp Ground, I'm more than willing to take the time to talk to you.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Great question, great answer. Do you feel that these hunting and gathering servant leader traits, lots of questions coming, okay, can be utilized by at-large Cherokee, even if we can only find food in a city grocery store, that we can mindfully walk through with a grateful heart, thinking about the foods and our intention of purpose for even store-bought foods in the absence of ability to access free, wild, or traditional spaces?
Great question. And I would say definitely. Whenever I went through each of those activities, and especially hunting and gathering, it's all about our attitude. That's what makes it a cultural experience that aids us, and it helps promote all of those traits. It's our attitude behind it. So whether you get your food from the grocery store or whether we are out harvesting, that gratitude is what makes all the difference. And then, giving back. So, yes, I am grateful that I do have these resources. I can go out and I can get my food from Sprouts or wherever you may be, and to nourish my family. And then, once you are, to show that gratitude, that grateful heart is about giving back also. And so, so we're not harvesting it. So a lot of times I'd go out and get sage or get something, out in California. I would leave water, there, or leave something to help the soil. But, by just giving back, helping somebody in your community, all of those things. I believe volunteerism, within our Cherokee communities is very important. And so for our at-large citizens, we can continue to live in a Cherokee way, even if we can't be here, necessarily getting wild game. It's all about how we feel about it, the attitude that we have, and what we're carrying in our heart.
Yeah, that's huge. 'Cause the thought just entered my mind, because you can be here at a dance and not be present like you need to be.
Exactly.
It is in the mind and heart and spirit and intention.
Mhm.
Uh, okay. Would adults do well in our culture to think of themselves as their mother's child still? And if someone suggests we are perhaps not doing well, that it comes from a place of love? I'm not sure. Would adults do well in our culture to think of themselves as their mother's child still? And if someone suggests we are perhaps not doing well, that it comes from a place of love? I'm not sure. Do you
Well,
understand?
talking about, in our culture, we are a, maternal.
Yeah.
We get everything from our mothers, mostly. And so we are matriarchal. I definitely do still consider myself my mother's child. It's just, and like I said, it was my mother's brothers who were really responsible for my upbringing. And that's really specific to Cherokee people, is, having that really connection through your mother's side. And so, I definitely think so. I definitely think that it's, just really contributes to our strength. I've traveled through a lot of different reservations, and, it's different to see other tribes that are, do not put so much emphasis on the mother side of the family. And so I believe it does change the way that you view everything, whenever you view everything from coming from, the strength of your mother. And so, when we are at the Stomp Ground, definitely, we learned that it is the women who keep the heartbeat of the earth. The women in our tribe are really the source of our strength. And so, Cherokee men who I believe we respect women, we are taught to respect women a lot more because we have that connection through our mother's side. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, uh, maybe this is a controversial statement, but man, as the head of a family, personally, I have no concept of that. I have no real understanding of that, or experience with that. So, my great grandmother was the head, and then grandmothers, and then aunts, and which are your grandmothers. So,
I remember one time, it was kind of funny. We were sitting down to eat dinner, and I was served by the women, which usually doesn't happen. Usually the children eat first, and then the men get up, and serve themselves.
yeah.
But the woman I was with at the time came and served me my plate, and my mother was beside herself. She didn't think that. It was pretty funny though. I should have got up and gotten my own food. So definitely learned something then.
Okay. Would you ever consider coming back to your hometown to talk to youth?
That is exactly why I came home. I was very blessed to work for Torres Martinez Tribal TANF out there. I worked as a youth specialist, a language specialist, family perseverance specialist, and then I ended as the family perseverance manager. Worked with all kinds of different tribes, and it was just an amazing program. But every time I would be out there working with a family, I would say, man, I know this family back home that this would be perfect for, and it was just always in the back of my mind that I could come back and work with our families. I grew up in Rocky Mountain, was usually running around, no shoes, no shirt, getting into trouble, this or that or whatever. And, those kids who are out there in our rural communities are me, and I was able to go travel the country, get sober, accomplish my dreams, because there were people who took time out to talk to me. And now it's my turn. I want to go out in these communities and let each of these kids know they can accomplish anything that they set their mind to, that they have the love of our people behind them, that they have support, and then that they are loved. And so I'm so excited to be out here to support our families in that way. I am going to be teaching some Zoom classes here pretty soon. Then once the COVID's over, I really am excited for our families to start getting together again. It's my dream to have a stickball pole in every community, and for our children to have access to our culture. At any time. I know a lot of times people feel bad. They're like, oh, I didn't learn that growing up. And then once you're in your 20s and 30s, it's really hard to go back and ask somebody because you feel a certain way, like, oh, I should have learned this already. But that's not the way. This system was designed to take our culture from us, to take our language from us, to make us just like everybody else. Our people resisted that, and we have those things. It's coming back now. But don't feel bad. We are exactly where we are supposed to be. It's just really awesome that our people resisted. We still have our culture, but it is okay. If you don't know your language yet, if you're still learning about, Stomp Dance and our other ceremonies, if you're still learning about Stickball, that is totally fine. You are all Cherokee people, and all of this belongs to all of us. So, just don't feel like, you should have learned a long time ago or something like that, because I know a lot of people do. Definitely myself. I was like, oh, I wish I would have learned this, or something. But it's okay. We're here. Everything is happening the way it's supposed to, and our communities are strong because of our servant leaders out there. So we are in a really good position now to teach everybody willing to learn.
Absolutely. Okay, I think we're almost out of time, but I want to combine really these last two questions. Tell us about the book you co-authored and how do we contact you?
Okay, the book I co-authored was 12 leadership principles. It's called Cherokee Wisdom. I co-authored that with Cynthia Ruiz. I'm very excited about that book, because one of the things we talk about in that book was that everyone's a leader. And I think that's the biggest thing that I want people to take away from that. You can reach me right now through my email. It's my last name, Bearpaw, the letter A at Gmail. So it's just bearpawa at Gmail. With any questions, or if you would like to set up a class, we could do a Zoom class for a family or anybody, you know, or also on Facebook, you can reach me. So yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, even the last question, the director of the Boys and Girls Club of Adair County would like to get in touch with you. So, Abraham, you're not going to be without something to do. I don't think you're going to get bored.
No, I'm
Um, I remember the last time I was bored, I think I was in my mid-20s. And so, but anyway, Abraham, thank you for this. And it is so important. This nurtures our soul. You said things that I needed to hear today. And I'm so glad you're home and, you know, and accessible to everybody, to our people. And truly, you are a servant leader. You were brought up with servant leaders, and it shows. So thank you so much for being here.
Wado, I appreciate it. Wado, everybody. Thank you for
Wado.
coming.